Bradley Richardson is our guest today and is the creator of Advanced Adulting. He has coaching, speaking, and content to help grown-ass adults navigate midlife. Bradley's a coach, a speaker, a 5-time author, a 3-time dad, and a 5th-generation Texan, and he will never, ever let you forget that he's from Texas. He is, of course, really hot on Instagram, and he helps people learn how to have better careers, relationships, and lives. He's been a guest with us before on the podcast, and so, as always, we're happy to have him back with us to talk today about dating like an advanced adult. Welcome, Bradley.
Thank you for having me. Always fun to be here.
Well, we're talking divorce and we're talking dating after divorce, which is not easy, especially if you are a midlife person like you and I are. You were probably married for a long time, and now you're jumping back into that dating pool, and it's scary, isn't it?
It's totally scary. I joke around that dating at midlife is kind of like the adult version of the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. It's kind of gross and kind of fun at the same time. So it's everything.
I know the dating apps are horrible and wonderful all at the same time, right? I mean, horrible because some of the people you meet are just outrageous, but wonderful because I think to myself, it opens up to you all sorts of people that you would never otherwise be able to meet. You'd have no way to run into them at the grocery store, right?
Absolutely. I think, if you look at it like that, there's so many ways to meet people. So not just the apps, but I think that's part of it. If you go into it open-minded and thinking, hey, this is just an adventure of me meeting somebody new and different, and then who knows where it'll go. The problem so many people have at midlife is we think, oh my God, I'm at this stage of life and I've wasted all this time with this other ding dong here, and I need to get it right. And so you're looking with these crazy expectations that barely anybody can meet, and so we're disheartened when we find out, oh my God, they're a liar. Oh my God, they're just out to get laid. Oh my God, they're just a psycho. A lot of people are, okay? And sometimes you're that psycho. And so it's okay just to figure out, you don't know what you don't know. Many people haven't dated. I talk to people who've been married 35 years. They've only been married, to one person, slept with one person, didn't date since they were 22 years old. You don't know what the hell's going on. And so just, try it all on for size and see. And if you walk away with a great story, there you go. And it's not all meant to be a Hallmark movie.
Well, you can also come out of divorce feeling really jaded, right? Because we like to say there are no winners in divorce, right?
Correct. Nobody's a winner. Nobody's a winner, on it, except the attorneys. That's about it. But the thing is, jaded's a big deal. Okay. And I think that I see two things happen. I see people either be so jaded and bitter. It's like, oh my God, I was cheated on, every man's going to cheat on me. All men suck and it's awful, or, vice versa, or whatever. Or they are just so eager to fill a void that they will jump back into anything quickly. It is frying pan to fire, and they just don't know how to be alone, don't know what's healthy, don't know what's right, don't know what they want. It can be anything. It can be from that fear of being alone. It can be what you and I talked about this, that what I call the insert guy here theory, or girl, either way. But it's I had a certain lifestyle. I had a certain thing. I'm only accustomed to this. And so you'll look for someone who just checks the box. You don't care about that person. You just want them to check the box. Kind of like when you buy a picture frame and it has this picture of this gorgeous family in there, or a couple. You don't know who the hell they are. They just fit the frame. And so some people will just get in a relationship to be in a relationship, because they like where it fits the box rather than have a connection or something that really serves them.
So is dating after divorce really about finding love again?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And I don't think you need to start out that way. I think first you need to look at having a connection. Okay. I think a connection. We think we want a relationship. You don't. You want to connect. It's great if you do. And look, to be crass here, we're talking adult. It's just connection, physical intimacy, getting laid. Anybody can do that. Okay. And that's okay. No harm, no foul, no shame. But don't mistake one for the other. Okay. You can find a connection from friends, from community, from activities, from people. Okay? It doesn't always have to end up in a marriage or a dating relationship.
Well, and I know that you're a big believer that really you need to find yourself again after divorce and figure out who you are before you really jump all the way into finding that relationship, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because otherwise, I mean, here's the thing. You got to figure out who you are, what you want, how you showed up. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, advanced adults make, is they don't look at how they were accountable. You know, oh, that son of a bitch did this. Oh, she was awful. Here's this. Instead of going, wait a minute, maybe part of this is my fault. Maybe because I ignored certain things. You know, I was blind. I allowed myself to be blind. I let something go on. You know, what would I do differently? And you have to look at where you were accountable, responsible, culpable for any of it and what you change moving forward. And you don't know that. I mean, I think there's a reason people say, you know, you need to be divorced for a good couple of years before you think about a serious relationship. That's not dating. You can go date and have fun, but before you fall in love or you get serious about somebody, you need to figure out who the hell you are and what you really want and what you'd want differently. And the other thing I'll say with this is type. Okay. You hear this a lot from people. Well, they're not my type. Well, okay. Well, how's that type work for you? Maybe your type sucks. Okay. Maybe you, oh, and good. Physically, you're attracted to what you're attracted to. I get it. Okay. But, you know, you keep picking the same bad apple time and time again. Okay. Why is that? Those are the people that are on their second, third, and fourth marriages. Okay. At some point, you need to wake up and realize, hey, maybe this isn't so good for me. You know, it's okay. It's like a joke. I used to joke around about vodka. Okay. I love vodka. Vodka's not that great for me. Okay. So maybe you might want to look somewhere different and choose something different. And you're on a roll here. And so I think that's the other thing is people look at, sometimes they mistake what is healthy. They don't know what a healthy relationship is because you're so used to the trauma, the drama, the ups, the downs, the bullshit, all of this, that you finally get into something that's actually healthy and good. You think, oh, this is boring. Oh, this doesn't feel right. Yeah, it's because this is how it's supposed to feel. It's not supposed to be Six Flags. It's okay. So,
That's right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a few things that people can do to improve themselves after divorce if they're thinking, yes, I want to date, but Bradley says we got to look within ourselves. We really got to fix ourselves. So let's assume you are feeling down about yourself because either you're lonely now that you're divorced or you feel like you failed. What can you do to address something like that?
you know, it's only a failure if you fail to learn from it. I know that sounds pithy, but it's true. It's just true. I mean, if you don't sit there and go, okay, I got something good out of this. There were some bad things. It ended. No one sits there and says, I want to start a marriage for it to end. You just don't. Okay. But what did you learn from this? And what would you do differently? I think that, and then the other is this is your chance to get to shake the Etch a Sketch. Okay. You get a free shot again to reinvent yourself, you know? And you're like, come on, you lose half your shit and half your friends in a divorce. Okay. So why not just start over with, okay, if I get to do it differently, how do I want to show up? How do I want to carry myself? How do I want to communicate? Who do I want in my life? Okay. And not think, I think that's the biggest deal. One other, this is a big piece is being willing to let go of things. Okay. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, there's scars. I get it. But too many times I'll talk to people who are 3, 4 years, 5 years long out of a divorce or relationship, and they're still bitter and holding on to it. And they're, an example, okay, is I had a client of mine that was like, oh my God, I think she'd been divorced like 4 years. My ex cheated on me and now he's with that woman and, he married her and now that son of a bitch is in Dominican Republic with her. And I'm like, and you've been gone this long and you're still letting it eat you up. And you know what he's doing? He's had a fucking great time in the Dominican Republic with his new wife. And he doesn't care. And you are the one who's still giving this thing power. That's it. Go live your life. And I think that's the biggest thing is choose what type of life you want and go live it.
And stop paying any attention to what he's doing because there is nothing good that comes out of that ever.
Absolutely. It's not bringing anything to your life. No, absolutely.
Okay, so I want to improve myself, but I'm worried about money after my divorce because I'm not making enough or I didn't get a good settlement in the divorce and now I'm having a hard time making ends meet. What can I do in that regard?
Well, I mean, you're the money expert there. They should work and deal with you first of all. But I think that the big thing is, just become for anybody. I think become comfortable and secure. You have no business really dating until you're at least confident and have one part of your life wrapped up. That doesn't mean you have to be baller level 3000, but you need to feel secure, okay? Because that's what you're going to bring to an adult relationship is your confidence, your security, and in yourself right there. I mean, I think that, and
Hmm.
I've made mistakes. Okay, I think the worst thing you could do is try and actively date and pursue when you don't feel good about your own situation because it's going to show.
Yeah. No, I like that advice a lot. Okay, I'm getting ready to date, but I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm struggling with co parenting. My ex and I are arguing all the time about kids. The whole issue of kids, in terms of how that's going to impact my dating, is really bugging me. What can I do about that as I'm preparing to start dating?
You know what? It's a mixed bag. Again, I've done it right and wrong on this. I think the one thing I would say is it's kind of like they say about in-laws. You marry the family, right? Well, guess what? The kids are part of it too. The kids were there before you. They'll be there probably after you if it doesn't work out. So I think that's a big thing. I think it's really important to you can date and have children, but I think one of the biggest mistakes I made too is realizing the kids have to come first. Okay, and you only
Hmm.
get them for a short period of time. Don't waste time on someone that may or may not be a part of your life when the kids will be there long afterwards.
Okay, so after I've fixed myself, I've been a part of Bradley Richardson's online group, and I've done some hard work, and I feel like I found myself and I'm ready to start dating, and I want to take some steps to find someone to date. Where do we start?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, it's what your expectations are from it, and that the first thing is, yeah, you're not out to find true love. You're not out to find your soulmate. You're out. This is a test drive. It is nothing more than just seeing what works, what doesn't, learning more about yourself, learning more about other people, and having no real expectations. I think that's a big thing right there is understanding that it is a test drive to see what's out there, but also to have no expectations. I think sometimes people make the mistake of they either have these incredible expectations of like you've already named kids, you've already figured everything out, or it's the expectations of it sucks and it's going to be awful. And guess what? Okay. You know, sometimes it's great and it works. And sometimes, you know, if you're looking for crap, that's what you're going to find. So I think having no expectations and just enjoying the moment, the present, seeing where it goes. One of the things I'll tell people is access is earned. And so you go, you meet someone, you have a good conversation, you have a good day with them. And guess what? That means, hey, great, let's go to round two. You earned more access. And I think that right there, combined with actions, anybody can say the good stuff, anybody can sound good, but are they consistent with their actions? Do they do what they say they'll do? Are they consistent? Well, that's a good thing. That's a green light. And those are the things that you should probably look at with every interaction you have going forward.
Well, it's also important to remember, isn't it, that people are generally on their best behavior those first few dates. And so you want to be looking beyond that, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, I told you I was a headhunter for a number of years, right? And it's no different than interviewing, right? Anybody can be awesome in an interview for one or two interviews for 30 minutes or an hour, right? Because why? Because you're on your best behavior, you're saying the right things. No, but one, either you can't figure out or they're not presenting all of the dirty bits, okay? And everybody's got them. I like to say at this point, at this stage of our life, we're all used cars. Okay, we've all got some miles and some dents and some dings on us, and you can only find that out with time, really, and by asking some proper questions. But it's not an interrogation either. I think one of the most important things is just because you know about someone doesn't mean that you know them. And too many times, just like an
Yes.
interview, you end up you think because you spent time with them and you know that their favorite color is blue, that they like tacos, and that they grew up in Florida and have two brothers, that you suddenly know them. You don't know shit. You don't know anything at that point. You know about them, but you don't know them as a human. And I think that is very important and take time. We take too many things on face value rather than digging deeper and finding out what that true person is and getting them, because we're on autopilot on dating at midlife, you know, and getting
Well,
someone off
and
autopilot.
looking for actions that match what they're saying, right? They can talk a good game, but then ask yourself, do their actions really, bear witness to what they've said?
Absolutely. I got to tell you, one of the things that I see so often, one of the common things is people people in our community, the advanced adulting community, or that I work with, they'll ask me something that on the surface seems, I don't, almost stupid. Okay, let's be honest. It's kind of like, wait a minute, if you told your sister that story or your best friend that story, or they told you that, you would say run. But they're going, well, what do you think about this? Here's the thing. It's if the dots don't connect, it's a problem. It's like when you're cooking with someone in a kitchen and they hold something and go, smell this. Is this bad? Well, they think it's bad.
Mhm.
Okay. Oftentimes it is. And so I think that's it. If it just sounds just too weird in the beginning and just doesn't make sense, well then, okay, it might. But you need to to do your own due diligence. That's just it. And too many people don't because they're lonely or they want it to work or anything rather than just, being a grown
Right.
ass adult and asking.
Right. I always say, what would you say if a girlfriend of yours was coming to you with this story or with this question? What would you tell her? And then use that advice on yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, and when you ask them that and they go, oh, I tell them to run. Well, there's your answer. Okay.
Right.
Here's the thing. Too many
Precisely.
times, yeah, we know the answer sometimes. It's just we don't want, we want to justify it ourselves or someone to, and kind of that's what we all have friends like this, who will, listen to us and allow us to bullshit ourselves. But your real friends are the ones that go, what the hell are you thinking? That's it.
Now, I know you have a really great piece of advice. As you start to date, your time is spent having conversations. And so we're saying, well, you don't really know the real them. This is just talk. But it's how the relationship starts. It's how the first few dates are. You're spending a lot of time talking. So I know you have some advice about asking follow-up questions when you're having these conversations.
Absolutely. As I said before, people tend to be on autopilot, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a first date or anything like that, because, you're used to telling your story, right? Well, let me tell you about me. This is what I do for work, and this is my family, and these things, okay? And we accept things on face value, okay? And that's when we get into problems 3 weeks, 3 months down the road, because we take it on face value and we don't dig a little deeper. And we insert the blanks with our own narratives. Okay. So that's when you find out, 3 weeks down the road, well, I thought you meant, okay. Instead of just asking a question, there are five, it's very simple. I recommend to people they think like a freshman journalism student, you know, asking who, what, when, where, why, and how. Think like a junior reporter, right? So when someone says something, oh, well, how did that make you feel? When did that occur? Why did you choose that? And the reason is one, you get to learn more, but it gets people off autopilot because they're out there, they're accustomed to telling your story, you know?
I love asking questions like, what would you have done differently in that situation? Right? Or
Yeah,
why did you make that choice? So
right.
you can learn so much about someone from that.
Well, you can. And you also can tell if they're listening to you or they're totally full of shit. And the reason is because if all they do is you catch them, and I also love the pattern interrupt of throwing something completely nonsensical in there that sees if they're actually listening or thinking, you know? And if they get caught up and they still can only talk about themselves or they don't answer your question, that's a giant red flag, folks, you know? So is there a reason for asking those follow-up questions?
I love this conversation about really preparing yourself for dating after divorce, especially for those of us in midlife who've been out of it for a long time. Fabulous tips today, Bradley. I want to ask
Thank you.
you about this free resource that you have for people who are listening. 10 things
Right.
to ask yourself to see if you're ready to jump back into dating. So, what's that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we think, some people go in, before they're ready. And there are some things that you need to ask yourself if you're not only ready, but what you're looking for. And kind of some of the things that we talked about, those expectations. What have you learned? What are your deal breakers? And I have 10 things that you need to really have 10 things you need to ask yourself or to evaluate and analyze about yourself to see, am I ready? Am I ready for this so I can make the most of the experience? And that's not, hey, I'm going to find my person, but so I can actually, have a good experience with it all, and not, here's the one thing, you have a limited amount of time. That's it. And
Right.
too often we end up wasting our time with the wrong people, the wrong situations, because we've not done the homework on our own. And so these are 10 questions that help you to really, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what's right for you. But you need to look at these things and they help you to establish your boundaries, your wants, and your path moving forward. And so, you have the link there. People can sign up for that, get the email in. I'll send it to you. And I hope it helps.
Okay, we will absolutely link that in the show notes. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier your group. So, can you tell us about your monthly group membership that you have available?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the Advanced Adulting community. It's a monthly membership. It's very inexpensive. It's a place for people to come. We have people, men and women from literally all over the world, and we go deeper than anything on social media. We have exclusive content. We have a weekly Zoom call where I coach and offer a lesson on there on a particular advanced adulting topic, Q&A, interaction. I'll bring in guest experts, some of the top authors, podcasters, experts like yourself to talk about issues. And we have a private members only Facebook group as well with archives of former lessons, lives, interviews, and most importantly, a community where it's not only interacting with me and my guest experts and such, but people, can connect with each other to realize a different perspective. And most importantly, to realize, hey, you're not alone on all this. And we cover a variety of topics, and relationships and dating, one of them, health, finances, all of the good advanced adulting stuff. And like I said, it's easy. It's a monthly subscription. You can cancel anytime. It's just giving people resources, connection, and community that they might otherwise not get.
It's a great opportunity, and I'm so glad you have that available. Bradley, thank you so much for being with us once again. Great advice. Wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you.